There is a lot of uncertainty with Six Flags moving forward. In this video, I'm going to talk about some of the different roller coaster and ride manufacturers that I believe Six Flags will start using a lot more, as well as talk about some of the manufacturers that they no longer seek to do business with. You're not going to want to miss later on in this video as I discuss a roller coaster manufacturer that could possibly have another coaster coming out in the very near future. As of right now, it's just a rumor. However, I'm getting a lot of hints that this might be a real thing, and it kind of makes sense. So make sure to stay tuned for that. In years past, Six Flags continued to use the ride manufacturer Intamin as well as RMC. Both of these manufacturers are absolutely incredible at what they do. However, there has been some issues with reliability and with RMC. I'm not really sure exactly what the issues are, but I know that not too many parks are willing to work with them for some unknown reason. Before the Six Flags and Cedar Fair merger, Cedar Fair only gave RMC a few different opportunities to prove what they could do. And out of those few opportunities, two of their coasters that they built for Cedar Fair, one located at Cedar Point in Steel Vengeance, and the other located at King's Dominion in Twisted Timbers, both of these seem to be pretty reliable. I can't really speak for Railblazer out there at California's Great America. However, some of these different single rail coasters haven't been so reliable. I do know that Steel Vengeance has had its issues, and a lot of it has to do with the fact that it's a massive coaster at almost 6,000 feet of track. Moving forward, I believe it's in Six Flags' best interest to try and work out the differences with RMC, being the fact that they are an American manufacturer, and with these different tariffs and things that are in place right now, it's a lot easier to work with an American manufacturer. And with Six Flags trying to cut costs where they can, I really can't understand why they wouldn't use a manufacturer such as RMC when they can totally refurbish an old wooden coaster that's not very popular anymore and make it into a thrilling attraction for about half the cost of a brand new coaster. As far as Intamin goes, well, they've been plagued with issues over the years. However, recent years, Intamin has become very reliable and is probably one of the best manufacturers when it comes to different rides. They dabble in just about everything, from drop towers to roller coasters, launch coasters, water rides, all kinds of stuff. However, over the years, Cedar Fair and Six Flags both have had numerous issues with some of the different Intamin built rides. So I'm not quite sure that this relationship is fixable. However, Six Flags, before the merger, was still using Intamin for certain rides. One coaster that they recently had built was Gold Rusher at Six Flags Over Georgia. I don't believe that Intamin was to blame for the delay in this coaster. However, I'm sure it had something to do with the different tariffs and things like that. But just recently, up at Six Flags New England, they were supposed to open Quantum Accelerator, and unfortunately, there's some kind of recall with the different restraint system, so it delayed this project another year. So I want to say that I was kind of hopeful that this new Six Flags would be able to work with Intamin in the future. With these little issues, I just think they're going to steer clear of Intamin, at least for a while. Everybody always wonders why Six Flags and the former Cedar Fair love to use B&M. Well, there's numerous reasons, but most importantly, B&M has a manufacturing facility in Ohio. So this makes it much more affordable with not having to pay massive tariffs to get different coaster parts shipped overseas. As well as, if there is an issue, at least there's a manufacturing facility that they can get parts from in a timely manner and get the ride back up and operating. Which raises the question, why wouldn't some of these other ride manufacturers start building a headquarters here in the United States? Well, the answer is very simple. They're not going to build a headquarters unless they have some kind of guarantee, meaning they have to have some kind of written agreement with different parks from around the country that are willing to work with them, and possibly even have contracts written for different coasters that they plan to build. Just recently, the Dutch manufacturer Vekoma announced that they were going to have a headquarters in the state of Florida. And this really makes a lot of sense. Moving their headquarters to Florida would be like ringing the dinner bell. You have all kinds of parks in that area that have already worked with Vekoma, as well as all of the Six Flags parks that look to work with Vekoma in the future. There is a rumor swirling around that there could possibly be a record-breaking tilt coaster coming for 2027. Not sure how true this is, but it's noteworthy at least. Moving forward, I could really see the Six Flags parks using Premier rides as well as Vekoma, and of course continue to use B&M as they look to cut costs and possibly get rid of a couple of these smaller parks. It only makes sense to build up their key parks and add attractions that are cost effective that the general public will really enjoy. I don't see Six Flags moving forward building any kind of wooden roller coaster, unfortunately. I love wooden coasters as much as anyone, but they are just very high maintenance. Although the upfront fee is far less than a steel coaster, long-term cost could be 3 times the cost of a steel coaster with having to maintain these wooden coasters. I really don't see Six Flags working with Zamperla, at least on any large-scale project. The Top Thrill 2 was a complete disaster, unfortunately. Even though it has run for the majority of this past season, you could not escape the fact that the first year it was down for the entire year, all but like 6 days. And it still had numerous issues this year. I'd love to know what everybody else thinks. Please be sure to comment below. Give me your thoughts on this possible massive tilt coaster that could happen in 2027. Also, do you think that Vekoma and Premier Rides are the future manufacturers for Six Flags parks? Thanks so much for watching. Please give this video a like. Hope everybody has a great day.